Emmanuel Hostin, the husband of The View host Sunny Hostin, has been accused of widespread insurance fraud, and Sunny basically admitted to it on camera. Let's talk about it.
Like my husband, operates on someone even though they don't have insurance, and then has to sue health insurance companies to get paid for the work that he's been trained his whole life to do.
The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. So that makes Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all.
Sunny Hostin is caught in a legal whirlwind, and Greg Gutfeld along with Kat Timpf aren't holding back. They're tearing into the situation with jokes sharper than a lawyer's cross-examination. The spotlight? Her husband's alleged $450 million fraud case, which is turning into late-night comedy gold. Gutfeld and Timpf have been roasting her so thoroughly you'd think it was Thanksgiving. From shady offshore accounts to courtroom drama, their punchlines are landing harder than a subpoena. If you thought legal scandals were boring, think again. This one's full of twists, laughs, and enough sarcasm to make even a judge crack a smile.
Ah, you look tantalizing. You know, I make fun of The View a lot, but that's only because they keep talking. Because COVID also taught Sunny Hostin how to get her groceries delivered.
3 years, that's when I discovered Instacart, and I give them a big tip because they don't always pay their people well, and it's so that's been an issue, I think, for the company. But man, you can get toiletries, you can get fire logs.
Fire logs? She had to tell the audience that she tips big because even she knows she sounds insufferable.
Dr. Emmanuel Manny Hostin, an orthopedic surgeon and husband of The View co-host Sunny Hostin, is accused in December lawsuit fraudulently billing insurance. By the way, this is a Daily Caller story I'm reading. The lawsuit alleges Hostin knowingly provided fraudulent medical and other healthcare services in exchange for kickbacks and or compensation, and names him among nearly 200 defendants in one of New York's largest RICO cases.
Sunny Hostin probably thought it was just another day to serve up judgment on The View, preaching ethics, sighing with elitist flair, and dishing out moral lectures like it's her day job. But karma had a plot twist in store, just as she was schooling America on justice and virtue. The headlines hit like a gavel from the universe's own courtroom. Turns out her husband is entangled in a massive fraud case. So big, it makes Bernie Madoff look like a kid running a rigged lemonade stand. Suddenly, the moral high ground Sunny loves to stand on is looking a little shaky.
I just want to hit myself in the face so I can feel something. You know, it's like so boring. He's like, yeah, I like Instacart, but don't worry, I tip the poors. But, you know, Joy, you actually don't like Instacart, and you do like the store. And then Joy is like, yeah, I do. I like to go to the store. I like to walk around and see what's at the store, what I do want, what I don't want. Maybe I want tuna fish, and I just want to hit myself in the...
And Greg and Kat? Oh, they feasted on it. Gutfeld delivered punchlines like a five-star chef slicing into dry-aged hypocrisy, savoring every moment like it was a scandal cooked to perfection. This wasn't just another segment, it was a full course. Roast, plated with precision and topped with a rich reduction of smug satisfaction. He practically wiped his hands like a man who just served the truth raw. And Kat, she glanced at the headline and laughed like someone who's been waiting patiently. Receipts in hand, ready for this exact moment. They didn't just comment, they devoured every deliciously ironic detail.
It's about The View. It's like, it's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Like, it's like here, let's look at this political oddity. Ah! You know, it's like, it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. You know, how can you now speak the truth when for years you've been telling lie after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest. And they could be honest. All they would have to say is, look, we hate Trump so much. We were willing to lie about Joe Biden because we felt he was preferable. We thought our lying and our cover-up was on your behalf. Just say that. You're still scum, but at least you're honest scum.
This wasn't breaking news for Kat. It was poetic justice in designer heels. She lit up watching Sunny's self-righteous halo melt under the scorching spotlight of irony, revealing a glittering crown of contradiction underneath. Let's be real. If hypocrisy were a luxury brand, The View would have launched its own upscale line. And Sunny, she'd be their top-selling ambassador. You can't preach daily about ethics and corruption, wagging fingers at everyone else, only to vanish into the wings when your own home starts resembling a deleted scene from The Wolf of Wall Street. That's not moral authority, Sunny. That's selective outrage in heels.
The witch's coven finally shows me some lovin'. Yesterday on The View, yours truly was the subject of conversation. Apparently the broads have no idea who I am, or so they say. Hit it, Gladys.
They said that Gutfeld talks about you all the time.
Who is he? Really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him.
Yeah.
I guess he's just obsessed with me.
No. Next, Joy's gonna say she's never heard of carbs. Seriously, her denial of knowing me is as believable as her red hair. But obsession? I mean, come on, Joy. Where would you even get that idea? Like Joy Behar's face, it's looking worse and worse by the day. More full of crap than Joy Behar after a night of scotch at Taco Bell. Her being named Joy is like me being named ugly. Joy wasn't there on the show. Apparently Mondays are her days off when she feeds in the pasture. It now smells like a humid day inside Joy Behar's moo-moo.
It played out like a bad movie, full of plot holes. Except this time, Karma wrote the script and Gutfeld's writers did the edits. Greg even joked Sunny should debut a new segment called Allegedly Yours, where she dishes out moral hot takes while ducking subpoenas. Kat, ever the queen of deadpan, quipped, "Finally, a storyline on The View that's actually entertaining." If laughter is medicine, Greg and Kat just handed out a year's supply to those suffering from The View's usual gloom parade. But they didn't just laugh. They dissected, dismantled, and demolished the show's inflated moral pedestal like it was an overpriced IKEA bookshelf, collapsing under the weight of its own contradictions. As the pieces fell, Greg and Kat raised a glass to poetic justice, served flaming hot. Gutfeld didn't just use sarcasm, he built a sarcasm slip and slide and invited America to coast through the wreckage of Sunny's credibility, one smug monologue at a time.
All right, Kat, did you ever see such a group? It's amazing how Joy and Whoopi became the smart ones.
For me, the most shocking thing about the conversation was how truly boring it was. They're like, well, the cicadas, they're cicadas. Okay, but it was like every 100 years. No, it's every 17 years. Do you know how many Emmys this show has? 31.
31 Emmys?
This show has 31. I mean, I'd hate to see the conversations that don't make headlines.
Sunny's moral brand was sinking faster than a View panelist fumbling through an economic segment. Greg strutted through the chaos like a smug cat that shattered a vase and blamed the dog. Kat looked downright gleeful, kicking back with her signature half smirk, clearly enjoying the live implosion of self-righteousness. Her contempt for The View is so thick it deserves its own tax bracket. Sunny became the latest cautionary tale, proof that moral grandstanding doesn't grant immunity from real-life consequences. Kat dissected it all like a failed science. Fair project, mocking the show's tone as brunch gossip meets courtroom drama, and joking the next segment should be financial crimes and finger-wagging, a guide to having it both ways.
Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
Greg, never one to miss a punchline, suggested Sunny's next appearance should feature a spinning game show wheel. Today's hot topic, fraud, privilege, or selective outrage. Spin to find out what we're ignoring today. Meanwhile, backstage probably looked like a mashup of a soap opera and a crisis PR seminar run by panicked interns. Imagine cue cards being torched, teleprompters short-circuiting from sheer cognitive dissonance, and producers whisper screaming into earpieces, For the love of ratings, someone bring up Meghan Markle. Anything to distract from the $450 million elephant doing pirouettes through their glass mansion of moral superiority. And let's not ignore the co-hosts, the same crew who can spot a GOP parking violation from space, but when it's their own. Suddenly it's all, we're respecting her privacy, and today we're focusing on love and light. Translation: we've hired a lawyer, and we're not touching this mess with a Joy Behar monologue. Greg was practically glowing, thrilled at the spectacle, like someone handed a flamethrower to a guy already juggling fireworks. And Kat? She looked like she was watching the finale of her favorite reality show, except in this version, even the fake houseplants are lawyering. Up for defamation.
No, I'm also not surprised that there's one part of the video from the show yesterday that you left out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, can we roll that, please?
I don't watch the show that much, but I've seen it.
Who is that? Who is that?
Greg Gutfeld's one of the hosts of The Five, who, if I don't have anything nice to say, I generally don't say anything at all. I would just say this, his show should be called Kat Timpf, not Gutfeld, because she's the funny one on it.
Somebody's flirting with little Kat over here.
Well, she's the Republican one at the table, but I just think as a libertarian, I'm always looking to find common ground with other people because nobody really shares my politics. So I find some common ground in The View where she thinks I'm funny and I agree.
There you go.
This wasn't just Sunny Hostin in meltdown mode, it was an entire media bubble tripping over its own smugness and plunging into a pit of preachy platitudes. While The View scrambled for damage control, Gutfeld and Timpf hit peak sarcasm. When your show doubles as a sanctimony factory and one of its main architects is tied to a massive fraud case, credibility doesn't just wobble, it vanishes. Greg joked that Sunny's moral compass took a hard detour down deflection lane. They weren't just mocking a show, they were deflating a bloated balloon of elite hypocrisy, while America watched, popcorn in hand, enjoying the accidental self-parody unfold.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say in The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color. People marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything, and then she'd have to accuse him of being a racist. Because if he told her that this is what white women do, then he's a racist.
And the best part? The jaw-dropping size of the alleged fraud. This wasn't some parking ticket or misfiled return. This was Wall Street villain-level stuff. Kat didn't miss the chance to spotlight the media hypocrisy, noting how The View barely acknowledged their own co-host scandal. No panel debate, no dramatic music, just a quiet pivot as if $450 million in alleged fraud was a mild wardrobe glitch. If it were someone on the right, Meghan McCain would have been publicly torched on air. Greg, ever cheeky, said it felt like irony packed its bags, moved to Manhattan, and grabbed a front row seat.
You know who just stunk up The View. The Bidens joined The View this morning for the entire hour. The audience was caught off guard, but knew something was up when they saw a dozen Secret Service agents and 2 embalmers. There were a few awkward moments, though, when a confused Joe asked if he could bid on the showcase. But was he surprised Kamala lost?
Meanwhile, Greg cranked his sarcasm dial to 11, practically short-circuiting the studio. This wasn't just commentary, it was performance art, with irony tap dancing across every inch of Sunny's sanctimony. A GoFundMe for legal defense. Too basic. Greg proposed something far more fitting, a nationwide popcorn fund. After all, this scandal had blockbuster potential, and America deserves snacks for the show. Then he turned up the heat, suggesting Sunny's next career move isn't law or TV, it's publishing. Maybe a best-selling book titled Mastering the Art of Contradiction. The hypocrisy didn't just reek, it had been slow marinated for years. Here's a woman who built her brand on legal wisdom and moral authority, while apparently coexisting with financial documents that read like an M. Night Shyamalan plot. And how did The View respond? A group hug and a sudden case of collective amnesia. Accountability, like common sense, it's scarce over there. Kat, never one to miss a good fireworks moment, reminded everyone how the show once turned a minor conservative slip into a week-long ethics trial.
Amazing. Oh. That's not what I read. The true sign of the apocalypse is someone that dumb has a law degree. Worse, if your name has the word sun in it, there's no excuse for not knowing how an eclipse works. But it's no surprise that Joy is the one who understands science. She's been on the science diet for years. They're turning on me. So that makes Sunny Hostin, who thinks climate change caused the solar eclipse, the dumbest of them all. Because everyone knows the moon caused the eclipse, which is controlled by the View's gravitational pull.
Forget the $450 million fraud. Let's circle back to Fashion Week. Kat joked, adding that The View should rename itself The Skew for its talent in twisting uncomfortable topics into eye rolls and softball questions. Greg, ever the showman, raised the stakes with a hypothetical. Imagine if Kat or I were even remotely connected to a fraud case this big. We'd be canceled faster than Joy Behar forgets to let someone finish a sentence. The double standard was so glaring it was doing cartwheels down Broadway. This wasn't the first scandal for The View. It's practically a magnet for public gaffes wrapped in a veneer of righteousness. But this one, it was the pièce de résistance, baked with irony and served on a silver platter of schadenfreude. Greg and Kat didn't just devour it, they turned it into a 6-course meal of mockery, garnished with "we told you so." What made it so delicious wasn't the volume, but the precision. They didn't need to yell, they simply exposed the absurdity of a moral crusader caught in her own trap.
Kat, how many co-hosts has The View had since it first started? I've lost count. I don't know any of these people.
No, that's because they don't stick around long enough. There's been 17 since 1997. That's a lot. That's because they're women.
Oh, really?
They're hormones. They're changing their minds. I don't want to work here. Yes, I do. That's why. Women are always changing jobs every day.
Wow,
I just quit.
Direct mail to Catherine Timpf. Not me. I disavow everything she just said.
And The View? They just kept spinning in circles hoping the storm would blow over. Spoiler alert, it won't. Not while people like Greg Gutfeld and Kat Timpf have microphones and sarcasm to spare. The real takeaway here isn't just the scandal. It's what it exposes about the ecosystem of smugness that is The View. A place where accountability is outsourced, double standards are the norm, and reality gets spun like it's on a cable news washing machine cycle. While Sunny's legal team is likely practicing yoga to stay zen, the rest of us are just here for the comedy. Greg and Kat did what they do best: expose the hypocrisy, laugh in its face, and serve it back with flair. This time though, the sitcom has a court date and a $450 million plot twist. The View may try to move on, but thanks to Greg and Kat, this story is forever etched in the Hall of Hypocrisy, headlined Sunnyside Fraud, and no amount of spin can erase it. You better believe Greg and Kat will be there for the sequel.